Go downstairs as noisily as you can, then say goodbye loudly. Call attention to the time.
God, it's midnight already.
Then, to avoid the security cameras, pull off the road before the carved elephant. Park and come back on foot up to the house. Take the side yard path through the little gate. The dogs will know you. They shouldn't bark. Climb the side trellis and come in through the trick hall window. Get my robe and cap from my bedroom and put them on. Walt is smoking outside and he'll see you through the glazed window. You were seen leaving. The security cameras show you driving off. Later, I'm seen alive and well by my son.
Harlan comes up with this complex plan in under 2 minutes. To do so, he would need to be quick on his feet, observant, and able to assemble a puzzle in his mind. Considering he still writes mystery novels, these attributes seem reasonable. Harlan says there are only 6 minutes left at 39:07.
We have 6 minutes.
After this time, he convinces Marta to enact his plan, chases Joni off, describes his plan before offering a few words of encouragement and killing himself. Here are the moments during this period where Harlan is either speaking or in a real-time scene. From the time Harlan says,
"We have 6 minutes,"
to when he kills himself is 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Meaning, at the time of his death, it's been 7 minutes and 23 seconds since Marta injected Harlan. Morphine side effects are supposed to start at 5 minutes.
Yes, your full symptoms in 5: sweats, disorientation.
Almost 2.5 minutes after he's supposed to start feeling symptoms, Harlan's mind is clear. We've already established him as observant and quick on his feet, so why is he unable to tell that he's mentally sound? Since the crux of his plan rests on Marta being disoriented, Marta could be mistaken about her mistake. If Marta can be confused and thinks she's giving him Toradol when she's giving him morphine, then it's equally likely she's confused and thinks she's given him morphine when she's given Toradol. Let's hope this character contradiction isn't the catalyst for the film.
But what are the chances?
Harlan, who came down for a midnight snack.
Dad, go back to bed.
Does Harlan always come down at night for his snack, only for Walt to order him back to bed? Yes, Harlan didn't let himself get told off. It was Marta. But the fact that Walt automatically commands who he thinks is Harlan, then shows no surprise when it works, implies this behavior is common. This oddity has little impact on the plot, but it's a bizarre detail to add on Harlan's character. Harlan is shown to be very much in control of his house. He directly confronts 4 family members when they do wrong. He makes his opinion clear about who's in charge of his property.
They're not our books, son. They're my books.
Even his mug shows Harlan's attitude. It's his house and his food, so why would he let Walt tell him off? This timidness is especially odd when you remember just a few hours earlier, Harlan dominated Walt in a talk where he essentially fired him.
But you're not going to be running the publishing house anymore.
When did you know I had something to do with Harlan's death?
Oh, from the first moment you set foot in front of me.
Then why didn't you question her thoroughly? Marta is unable to lie. Basic questions such as, do you know why Harlan killed himself? Will root out facts that will put Marta away and give the money back to the Thrombies. But wait, you cry. Blanc stated why he thought Marta was innocent.
I trust your kind heart.
Oh? Did you magically intuit her kind heart? Yes, the whole family could have spoken of Marta's kindness. However, it is naive to think that only people who seem cruel commit murders. Acting kind to secure a high-paying, easy job is something a psychopath would excel at.
Also, you're the only one who had nothing to gain from Harlan's death.
How could you possibly know that until you've seen the will? Harlan could have written Marta in for $1 million, then threatened to cut her out. And even if you know Marta didn't kill Harlan, ask her who did. Someone may have killed the man in front of her, then threatened her safety. Failing to press her with detailed questions could endanger her life.
Tomorrow morning, I search the grounds on the house, begin my investigation. I want you to be by my side for it.
What?
My confidant, my eyes and ears.
Sir, You are the world-famous detective. Marta is a house nurse. She lacks experience in crime scene investigation. Her ignorance could damage or destroy crucial evidence, which happens in the film, and Blanc isn't surprised. So why would you involve Marta? If you want to question her about what you find, then note the questions and call her in later for an interrogation. If Blanc acts smart here, then Marta cannot erase this tape. So the detectives will take Marta in for questioning here, and Marta won't save Fran, which means the capture of this film's villain rests on a world-famous detective being brain dead.
Your full symptoms in 5: sweats, disorientation.
Funny, Marta. You're observing Harlan closely while he is describing his plan, yet fail to notice that he's maintained mental clarity. Yes, Marta is distraught. Yes, Harlan has burdened her with instructions. But after Harlan was supposed to show symptoms, he talks details with Marta for over a minute. If morphine overdose disorientation is weak enough so that an elderly man can construct and lay out a complex plan in a clear and unbroken fashion, then I'm unsure why it's even labeled as a side effect. If Marta is even close to
a good nurse,
then she would see that Harlan lacks side effects and tell him to wait.
I know 3 things. 1, I know he didn't commit suicide. 2, I know lying makes you puke. 3, I know you just ate a full plate of baked beans and sausage. Look me in the eye and tell me what happened to my grandfather.
You know, Marta, this would be a great chance to stand up, flip Ransom the bird, and leave without saying a word. You are in a public restaurant and a huge chunk of the population is protective of young, attractive women. Call a taxi, Uber, or friend for a ride home. While this behavior is mildly suspicious, it's far better than telling Ransom everything. Remember, Marta cares deeply about her mother and wants to keep her from being deported. In fact, avoiding her mother's deportation is a key reason Marta helps Harlan kill himself.
Think of your mom.
My mom.
If Hugh tells Marta's secret, authorities will deport Marta's mother. And Marta believes Hugh will tell her secret.
What's going on? This isn't you. You could just turn me in right now and still get your cut of the inheritance.
Considering how easy it would have been for her to avoid giving information that would likely deport her mom, in this scene, Marta betrays her core values.
'Cause you made the help call you Hugh. 'Cause you're an asshole.
She gets a copy of the toxicology report. The numbers, they mean nothing to her. But if Ransom is guilty, its existence is a threat. So she photocopies the header and makes her blackmail note.
I'm sorry. You didn't even know what the tox report said and still blackmailed Ransom? How dumb are you? All you have to do is Google the information to learn 100 milligrams of Toradol are harmless, or ask your cousin who works at the lab to help you. If you're wrong about Ransom, he could call the cops who would come with him to the meetup. Blackmail is a federal crime, and blackmailing a suspected murderer instead of going to the police is a serious offense. If you're right about Ransom, he will kill you. Why did you meet him in a secluded room? Go to a public space where others can protect you. Now, Fran is established as mildly dumb, so her massive stupidity is only a minor contradiction. However, it comes off as very lazy when the only way the plot moves forward is by inserting a mentally handicapped person.
And you know Marta was responsible for his death, even unintentionally. Slayer rule would nullify the change will that you would get your share back. But tomorrow brings news of a slit throat and a suicide. It's not of a medical error and a guilty nurse. Now the circumstances are perfect for the anonymous hiring of me. You know a crime has been committed by Miss Cabrera. You need her to be caught for it. Enter Benoit Blanc.
Ransom, why would you bring in a world-famous detective? Do you understand that Blanc's presence significantly increases your chances of getting caught? What were you even hoping for Benoit to find? The only evidence that could convict Marta is the morphine in Harlan's blood. But they are doing an autopsy. Analysts are already testing Harlan's blood.
What's still pending from the autopsy?
Just a report on the blood work.
Blood work.
The toxicology report will be done in a week. Once this report is finished, authorities will know Harlan overdosed on morphine. Since his nurse was the one who injected Harlan with morphine, Marta will be charged and her claim to the will revoked. Even if Blanc was the one who insisted on a toxicology report, Ransom could have orchestrated a blood test without the detective. Instead of sending Blanc an anonymous letter, send Lieutenant Elliott an anonymous letter. Tell him you overheard Marta admit to overdosing Harlan with morphine. Say you want to stay anonymous because you know Marta and it hurts to betray your friendship. This will cause Elliott to order a blood test. The only thing Hugh hiring Blanc accomplished was sealing his own fate. If he had just waited for the blood work, Ransom would have won.
He still thinks Marta has given Harlan the tampered drugs. Marta's confession. He now realizes that Marta has committed no crime. The change will is gonna stand.
Trying to cover up your medical mistake by letting your patient kill himself is a crime. But whether Marta would be tried as a criminal or in civil court is irrelevant.
What about the Slayer rule? It's if someone is convicted of killing the person, they don't get their inheritance.
Not even convicted, even if they're held responsible for their death in civil court.
From what she told you, Marta was responsible for Harlan's death. In fact, what Marta admitted to doing was worse than what you thought she did. You thought she accidentally gave Harlan morphine. Instead, she accidentally told Harlan she gave him morphine, then proceeded to cover up her mistake instead of calling for help. And I doubt a judge will be moved to dismiss her charges once they learn Marta was protecting her criminal mother. If Marta hadn't misdiagnosed Harlan's overdose, he would still be alive. If she hadn't tried to cover up her mistake, he would still be alive. According to the Slayer clause, Marta has forfeited her claim to the will. So why are you overcomplicating things? Ransom was able to think up a complex plan while sitting with Marta, yet ignores a simpler, quicker, safer solution. All you have to do is tell the family what Marta told you. They will question her, and since she can't lie, the truth will come out. The money will be yours within a month.
Yeah, that's it. 1209 Columbus Road, 10 a.m.
At 9:32, Ransom is with Marta. Marta finds Fran alive 26 minutes later at 9:58. A morphine overdose will kill you in 10 minutes if you administer 100 milligrams.
This is what I just give you 100 milligrams of.
I'm gonna give you an emergency shot of naloxone so you don't die in 10 minutes.
Either this is a blatant world-building contradiction, or Ransom is a moron who gave Fran less than 100 milligrams. If it's the morphine being inconsistent, then that's a 180-degree contradiction that the whole film is based on. If it's Ransom being dumb, then it's less of a contradiction since Hugh is portrayed as smart, not genius. So I'll be generous and assume Hugh was dumb. But really, Ransom? You had one job. Kill Fran. Did you Google how much morphine you need to kill? You understand that if Fran survives, there is a good chance you will go to jail for decades.
She's okay. She's ready to talk.
Yeah, I killed Fran, but I guess I didn't.
Why would you say this? You don't even know Fran will testify against you. If Fran is very dumb, greedy, and bad at self-preservation, she might try to blackmail you for even more money. Oh, and you know Fran is all three of those things. Even if Fran testifies, it's her word against yours. No other solid evidence links you to the murder attempt.
That's some heavy-duty conjecture.
Granted.
So, if your lawyer is good like you say they are, you might get off scot-free regardless of Fran's testimony.
Yeah, I killed Fran, but I guess I didn't. So what do you have on me? Nothing. What, attempted murder? With a good lawyer, which I have, I'll be out in no time.
Premeditated attempted murder is one of the most serious offenses our legal systems punish. Now maybe in the Knives Out universe, the law works differently, but at that point, it's worth questioning how their society functions when such a vicious crime can be hand-waved away. And if it can be hand-waved away, it's likely Hugh's sentence will only be slightly worse when he's convicted of successful murder. After all, the intent behind an act is more important than the end result. It's difficult for some to invest in a film where the main antagonist has the brain of a preschooler.
That's a video there. I saved the tape from that night.
All right, well, can we see the actual tape?
I'm sorry. It's been a week since Harlan's death, and you haven't checked the security footage? What were you doing this whole time? I know you think it's a suicide, but checking the footage is a basic precaution to strengthen your case. If these officers were remotely competent, the day after Harlan's death, they would have seen Marta pull off to the side of the road. Considering how easily Marta breaks under pressure, she would have confessed to everything by the time Benoit Blanc arrived.
Okay, we got footprints here. Wagner, we're gonna need to call the boys, have them come down here, take a look at all these tracks, get it taped off.
Oh gosh, you haven't found the tracks either? They are clearly visible in a large patch of mud close to the house. If they'd done a simple property check after Harlan's death, they would find these tracks and possibly match some to Marta. Also, they'd likely find this piece of wood. It doesn't take a world-famous detective to deduce it came from this trellis. A bit more prodding will reveal the trick window on the top floor. This discovery will completely undermine their judgment that no one could have visited Harlan that night. Remember, this evidence is one of Elliott's main points as to why Harlan must have committed suicide.
The stairs leading up to Harlan's bedroom creak horribly, and Linda is a light sleeper, so we know every time someone took the stairs that night.
And there is no other staircase up to Harlan's room?
None. It's the creaky one.
So, we have a fresh set of tracks leading to the house, and a newly broken piece of a trellis that leads to a trick window on Harlan's floor. I think it's safe to say that these discoveries would open a serious investigation of murder. Once this investigation starts, it's difficult to imagine Marta standing up to hard interrogation.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
I got it.
Why would you let a civilian carry this tape? Yes, the officers think Harlan committed suicide. Yes, Marta seems innocent. But it's a horrible practice to let civilians hold evidence. Just take the tape for yourself and pocket it. Some viewers will cry, well, the officer only let Marta have it for a little while because she was closest to the player. But even if that erased the officer's stupidity, the reason Marta was closest to the player makes no sense. This guard uses outdated technology that there is no reason to suspect Marta knows how to operate.
You think we could scan forward on that?
What is? How can we scan forward?
Playing these tapes is your job. Just scoot Marta out of the way and start the tape yourself. Not only are VCRs outdated technology, but this VCR has special instructions.
You got to keep holding it down or else it'll reject. That thing eats tapes like popcorn.
It's a good thing these characters act idiotic. Otherwise, Marta would be unable to erase this tape and protect her secrets.
That was the dumbest car chase of all time. Put your hands down.
Marta just intentionally evaded you for 1 minute and 50 seconds. She slammed on her brakes, which might have caused a crash. Because of her disobedience, an officer hit a building, damaging the car and endangering his safety. Do you have any idea how serious this is?
Did he ask you to drive when he saw me coming?
After cuffing Ransom, this would be the first question the troopers would ask Marta. However, they would have many follow-up questions. What did he threaten you with? Did he threaten you bodily harm or death? Are you willing to testify in court? Do you need to see a therapist for trauma? Unfortunately, this line of questioning means Marta will be unable to lie, then vomit discreetly. So the officers will take her in for even more questioning. Therefore, Marta won't be able to find Fran and try to save her, which means Ransom's confession never happens. I'll be generous here and assume that all the knives in this chair are fake. Otherwise, these men deserve to lose their badges for letting an accused murderer get near it. But they should probably lose their badges anyways for letting that man walk up to a rival just before going to hear an accuser's testimony. The fact that he was built like a brick and Marta like a stick makes this worse.
What the shit? That means she's lying!
Fran's dead.
Marta directly lies 3 times in this film. The first time is here.
Is Richard having an affair?
No.
Oh, shit!
She lies at 25:39 and vomits at 25:45, 6 seconds after lying. The second time is here.
Did he ask you to drive when he saw me coming?
Yes.
She lies at 1:34:25 and vomits at 1:34:32, 7 seconds after lying. The third time is here.
She's okay. She's ready to talk.
She lies at 1:58:48 and vomits at 2 hours 1 second, 1 minute and 13 seconds after lying. And remember, the first time Marta lied, she was trying to hold the vomit in for as long as she could. Marta being able to hold her puke for so long is one of the most blatant world-building contradictions I've ever seen. And if her puking is consistent with the rest of the film, Ransom doesn't confess to Fran's murder.
She gets a copy of the toxicology report. Now, I will be honest, I have no idea how.
She told me she has a cousin who works as a receptionist at the examiner's office.
Well, voila!
Well, that's just lucky, ain't it? This convenience is bad, but worse when you consider this. Giving out personal information like blood tests will cost you your job. Very few people would jeopardize their livelihood sharing a report the police will find in a few days. It's a good thing this conveniently placed cousin happened to have a rare, stupid disposition.
She said, "You did this." She didn't say, "You did this." You did this. You did this.
Oh, the cringe. Hugh is a rare name, but it's a good thing he has that name, because with any more popular moniker, Marta would know who killed Fran. So all the drama between Fran accusing Hugh and Benoit's discovery wouldn't happen. Many people enjoy the consistent setups and payoffs in Knives Out.
We had our own secret way of communicating.
Hey, sis.
This might be the best thing that could ever happen to you.
I think this could be the best thing to happen to all of you.
Jesus, Ransom. Playing life like a game without consequence until you can't tell the difference between a stage prop and a real knife.
The Baseball's Journey is an extended version with multiple payoffs. It takes talent and effort to coordinate different sections of a script. How much do these details improve the writing's quality? Well, when determining the importance of a script beat, I check how much of the film it affects. When Harlan says,
between a stage prop and a real knife,
the only other part of the script it impacts is the payoff, around a 50-second scene. By contrast, Harlan failing to notice his lack of morphine side effects causes the entire movie. If every error I've pointed out was self-contained to the brief scene where the error occurs, then I'd have a far higher opinion of this film's script. Unfortunately, most of these problems impact huge chunks of the film's runtime. Meanwhile, many of the positives are self-contained to a minute or so. I also rank scenes as more important than others based on how much build-up led to that scene. The climax, specifically Ransom being imprisoned and Marta owning everything, is near the top of that ranking. Of those problems I listed that only affect a short stretch of film, nearly all of them cause this climax in some way. By contrast, whether or not Ransom can tell the difference between a real and a fake knife barely had any build-up and is almost irrelevant to his character. Likewise, whether or not the baseball guides Linda to Harlan's letter hardly matters, since the build-up to this payoff only lasts a few minutes out of a 2-hour movie. I've most often heard people praise this script for subversion, meaning parts of this film deviate notably from standard elements in other films. This scene meets that criteria since it deviates from the detective genre's norm of not revealing the victim's death moment till the end. However, is subversion on its own impressive writing? For example, if aliens showed up in Knives Out, who looked like the Loch Ness Monster and were personal sex slaves to the Queen of England, that would be a greater subversion than this scene. But I hope no one would praise my writing talent in creating that subversion. It took 20 seconds to cook up that story. I think subversion is most impressive when paired with a logical foundation. Unfortunately, this scene lacks that foundation. As mentioned, the only reason this subversion occurs is because both Marta and Harlan are too dumb to notice obvious details, which fits about as well with the story as alien sex slaves. The most consistent theme in this film is contrasting the family's failings with Marta's angelitude. For example, the film shows that the family doesn't pay quite as much attention to Marta as they might claim. When Walt calls Marta, she says,
"Hi, Walt."
But he ignores her and introduces himself.
"Hi, Marta, it's Walt."
Then the family constantly forgets where Marta is from.
Family's from Ecuador.
Family's from Paraguay.
Your Brazilian nurse.
Finally, Richard hands Marta his plate while talking about how much he values her, despite Marta being a nurse, not a maid. Do these scenes show moral failings in the family? No. But when a film includes details like these without explicitly calling attention to them, it creates the illusion that the writers respect the audience's intelligence, and
I am susceptible to flattery.
By contrast, many of the moments highlighting Marta's moral superiority are blunt and shallow.
Best judge of character is a dog.
You know, I'm gonna bite the bullet on this one and say that dogs liking you doesn't support your saintliness. Neither does your dislike of dogs, and their return mistrust condemn you. Then Blanc states that Marta is good, with the subtlety of a jackhammer.
He needed a friend.
Does having a kind heart make you a good nurse?
To reiterate, being a friend to a millionaire who pays you high wages to do an easy job doesn't give you a kind heart. But the film's most embarrassing attempt at proving Marta's quality is here.
That if the meds were switched, then when I got them mixed up, I accidentally switched them back. I gave Harlan
The correct doses, but not accidentally. I taped over the label of these 2 vials. How'd you know this was the morphine?
I just knew.
You knew because you'd done it 100 times. You gave him the correct medication because you are a good nurse.
What in the... what? This is a horribly irresponsible thing to say. Protocols are put into place for a reason, and often, in the medical field, the reason is to save people's lives. Marta ignoring these protocols by failing to check the labels and injecting lethal drugs based on instinct is criminally irresponsible. Even worse, Marta isn't even aware she's doing it.
How'd you know this was the morphine?
I just knew.
Every state in the US would remove her nursing license for this behavior. Many viewers are frustrated when a film praises a character for a despicable action. If you love this film's ending because Marta won and now has power over the Thrombies, you may want to reconsider your affection. Marta covered up her mistake and let Harlan Thrombey kill himself. She is still responsible for his death. Even without will money, the Thrombeys can afford good lawyers and sue her. A judge will revoke the will, deport Marta's mom, strip Marta's nursing license, and potentially sentence her to prison. I'm sorry, but this happy ending no longer leaves quite the same impact.